Okay, let's just get right into it. You need to learn hybrid cloud right now. And I know what you're probably thinking. Wait, I thought I just needed to learn cloud, period, right? It feels like everybody is just racing to throw all their stuff up there. But what if I told you that's not always the best move? Let's unpack this.
Because here's the thing, the big secret that's getting less secret by the day, just blindly moving to the cloud isn't the magic bullet everyone hoped it would be.
So you really have to ask the big question. Is shoving every single app, every last bit of data, every service you have, is putting all of that into a public cloud provider always the right call for a business?
Let's just be super blunt about it. Stop. Not everything belongs in the cloud. And once you really get that, you start to understand why hybrid cloud isn't just some buzzword. It's the actual reality for modern IT.
To really nail this down, we need to do a super quick breakdown of the two main pieces of this puzzle, the stuff you run yourself and those giant public clouds.
It pretty much boils down to this. On-prem, or on-prem, is all the gear you own. You buy the servers, the switches, the whole shebang. You have total control, but man, it costs a fortune up front. That's what we call a capital expenditure, or CapEx. Now the public cloud, it's the total opposite. You're just renting somebody else's computer. It gives you incredible flexibility, and you just pay for what you use. That's an operational expense, or OPEX.
And that upfront cost, it's no joke. Look at that number, $119,000 for one single server. When you see a price tag like that, you immediately get why renting a server for pennies an hour in the cloud is so appealing. And it's not just about the money. The real magic of the cloud is how fast you can scale. You know, if your website suddenly gets a massive spike in traffic, boom, you can spin up a dozen new servers with a few clicks, and then just get rid of them when you're done. Plus, you get access to all these advanced cloud-native ways of building apps, using things like containers and Kubernetes to manage it all. It's powerful stuff.
So I know what you're thinking at this point. After hearing all that, the choice seems pretty obvious, right? Why on earth would anyone choose to keep all that expensive, clunky infrastructure on-prem?
Well, it turns out there are some really good reasons. Some apps have crazy strict security rules. Or you've got data compliance laws like GDPR that make it way easier to just keep that data in your own building where you have total control. Or maybe you've got gigantic storage needs that would cost a fortune in the cloud. Or you have applications that need lightning-fast response times, so they have to be physically close to your users. So see, the answer isn't cloud or on-prem, it's both. And that, right there, is hybrid cloud.
But here's the rub. While hybrid cloud is definitely the right strategy, the way most companies actually do it creates two massive headaches for the poor folks who have to manage everything.
Let's just call them what they are. The two big beefs with hybrid cloud. First, there's this huge gap in what you can do in the cloud versus what you can do on-prem. And second, it almost always turns into a total management nightmare. So let's talk about that first beef. The engineers who are running the on-prem data center. They look over at all the cool, agile, cloudy stuff like containers and Kubernetes. And they ask a pretty simple question. Hey, why can't my stuff do that? Why can't my on-prem infrastructure be more like the cloud? It's a really frustrating gap in what's possible. And then you've got the second beef, which, hoo boy, it gets even worse. Because it's not just one on-prem data center and one public cloud. The reality for most companies is multi-cloud. They're using AWS for some stuff, Azure for other things, maybe Google Cloud for something else. I mean, on average, most companies are juggling around 5 different cloud providers.
And this, right here, this is the management nightmare. Your engineers have to log into the AWS portal, then the Azure portal, then the Google Cloud portal, and their on-prem tools like vCenter. Every single one has its own way of doing things, which means you need different skills, different tools. It just leads to tired, stressed-out engineers and a huge risk of someone making a mistake. It is just not a sustainable way to work.
So, how do you fix this? How do you get all the benefits of hybrid and multi-cloud without all the chaos? Well, the answer is to create one single, consistent platform to manage the whole thing.
I mean, think about it. What if we could just solve that management nightmare? What if, instead of trying to juggle 5 different portals and tool sets, you could manage all of your infrastructure, your on-prem stuff, AWS, Azure, Google, all from one place, using the tools you already know and love? Well, that's exactly what Dell and VMware have been building with something called VMware Cloud Foundation.
At its core, it's a software platform designed to create one consistent layer for all your infrastructure and operations that stretches across your own data center and all the big public clouds.
So, how does it work? It's actually pretty simple. You take the VMware software you're probably already using to run your on-prem data center, and you just extend that same operating model into AWS, and then into Azure, and then into Google Cloud. You're basically creating a common ground everywhere.
And all of a sudden, the public clouds stop being these strange foreign places that need special skills. They just become another one of your data centers managed with the same tools and the same processes you've been using for years. All that complexity just melts away.
And look, this consistency thing, it's not just about making life easier for your IT team. It has a massive impact on what your entire business can actually go out and do.
Remember that first beef we talked about? The whole wanting your on-prem to be more cloudy thing? Well, this solves it. With tools like Tanzu built right into the platform, you can now run modern, cloud-native apps using containers and Kubernetes right there on your own hardware, sitting right next to your old-school virtual machines. That capability gap, it's gone.
But let's bring it back to the people, because this is the most important part. A unified platform like this empowers your existing engineers. Instead of forcing them to go learn 5 different cloud systems, you're using the skills they already have. This cuts down on expensive manual errors, it saves a ton of time and money, and maybe, just maybe most importantly, it lets your people go home at a reasonable time.
So, at the end of the day, the big debate isn't cloud versus on-prem anymore. The future is all about creating a consistent, seamless experience across all of your environments. The real takeaway here is that consistency is what unlocks the true power of the cloud. So the only question left to ask is your infrastructure ready for it?